Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Friday, TGIF. It's the 3rd of October, 2025. And once again, screaming from the rooftops, the media cannot be trusted. They propagandize, they spin, they gaslight, they lie. And guess what? You won't be trusted anymore. All right, you think that they're clamping down on free speech. Oh, man, we ain't seen nothing yet. No siree, Bob. And I mentioned this yesterday on the show that there is an explosion of posters of social media entities that have all of a sudden appeared across the board on many different social media platforms, whether they be Instagram or Twitter or X or Facebook. All of a sudden, you're seeing all of these pro-Israel, death to Hamas, kill all the Palestinians. You're seeing all this stuff. I can't believe how many posts are out there. Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, Bibi had a whole bunch of these media influencers over there on a completely paid-for trip to Israel, Tel Aviv, where they were wined and dined and shown. I mean, it was all expenses paid. Yeah, we'll fly you over there to Israel, put you up in a 5-star hotel, give you, caviar and filet mignon and lobster and, and champagne, and we'll show you all the wonderful nightlife and all these beautiful IDF female soldiers. Oh, my goodness, look at these gorgeous ones. And anyway, and then they're offered $7,000 for every post that they put up. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine? I mean, if you were going to post on social media, how many posts could you put up in a day? And then just tally up the score. Shik-shing, 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 shik-shing. No wonder we're seeing so many posts. Anyway, I'm going to get into that in a little bit here. Oh gosh, where do I start? Well, first of all, welcome to the the WTF reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and we broadcast live from 2:05 Eastern Time. That's 2:05 p.m. and that's 11:05 a.m. Pacific Time. And so if you're listening during any of those times, and do the math for your own time zone, Mountain Time, Central Time, yada yada. You can call in, and the phone number here is 215-867-8255. And yes, it's Open Lines Friday. Yes, I'll take your call, and if you want to talk about the real ID card, you're welcome to do that. As like I said, we have people call in and say, hey, look, I want to talk about such and such, and say, okay, well, let's do it on Friday. So anyway, this is Friday. Anyway, okay, where do I get started? Yesterday, I covered a story that Northwest University is now requiring students to take a particular course before they enroll. And this is not right. I mean, we are being manipulated. I mean, I got a couple of clips here, and if you haven't already heard the audio clip of Bibi Netanyahu, saying that we are at war, but this is a different kind of war, so we have to use different kind of weapons. Now, what are the weapons? The weapons are information. The weapons are propaganda. That's what it is. Now, keep in mind, I don't know how many Americans actually understand this, but Israel is a separate country. They're not the United States, okay? But Americans can't seem to get that through their head. And, of course, we heard, what was it, last week? They had a convention of 50 states, 50 plus Israel or something like that. I forget what it was. But they're trying to convince everybody that Israel is part of the United States. I mean, and unfortunately, most Americans, they're so out of touch, they don't understand. But Northwest University is they're pissing a lot of the students off because they're not quite as stupid as maybe the faculty think they are. Anyway, give a listen to this report.
Students have been blocked from enrollment after refusing to complete required anti-Semitism training. Now, they say the mandatory training is biased in favor of Israel and could stir up tensions on campus over Gaza. Don Hasbrook has more.
We were, able to immediately recognize the glaring red flags in this training.
Hundreds of Northwestern undergrad and graduate students have been unable to enroll because they're pushing back against what's in the anti-Semitism training. It is part of a wave of controversial trainings put in place after the Trump administration threatened to pull funding if schools fail to address campus anti-Semitism.
A hand-drawn map of the Israel-Palestine region that did not have Palestine written anywhere on the map. And within the bounds of Israel, it included a portion of Syria that is internationally recognized to not belong to Israel.
They said the training could have been put together by the many researchers and experts on campus.
Northwestern decided to partner with the Jewish United Fund, which is a nonprofit in Chicago that is well known for advocating in support of policies and, defense for the state of Israel. So immediately that sort of agenda came through in the content, is highly political.
They're part of a large group that wrote an open letter to administrators, writing in one section, as a group of students and graduate workers who stand united against racist, anti-Semitic, anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, and anti-Palestinian discrimination, we cannot abide by these trainings which reinforce rather than reduce the proliferation of discriminatory bias in our communities.
I teach at Northwestern, and I feel an immense responsibility for ourselves and our consciences, but also for our students, not to disseminate non-factual, false informations about the history of the region, and for not endorsing silently the idea that any critique of Zionism or of the State of Israel could be and will be construed as misconstrued as anti-Semitism.
The students say they have had many discussions with faculty, and they say most agree with them. They're not saying that anti-Semitism isn't important, quite the opposite. They say some students have had to complete the training under duress, or they would lose their funding, their status, their fellowships, and in some cases, their visa. The deadline for everyone is October 20th.
It worries me that Northwestern might encounter students who are looking to be informed and instead are being fed an opinion.
People do not want to live in a country in which our ability to stay at a job that we've been at for 5 years depends on whether we are willing to undergo a training that includes ideological political propaganda about a foreign country.
Northwestern has not yet responded to our request for a response. Dawn Hasbrook, Fox 32 News.
There you have it, folks. And I'd be really curious to find out how the administration is going to respond to this. Who was responsible for putting together this little, shall we say, program that is requiring these students to take this course? Who put this together? Who are the people behind this? It's sort of like when somebody puts a bill before the Senate or the Congress or something like. A lot of times we never even ask who wrote the doggone bill. So this is going to be really interesting how this pans out. But this is going on across the board. It's going on. The free speech is under attack, and it's being directed by forces outside of the United States. Now, it's one thing to say, the liberal media, is all run by the Democrats and the libtards and all that, and, ABC, NBC, CBS, yeah. We all know that, okay? But when you have a foreign entity, a foreign country with its own interests, that are basically, forcing people to swallow their horse hockey. And again, they're, confusing Judaism with Zionism, okay? Now, Zionism is political dogma. All right, so you've got capitalism, and you've got socialism, and you've got communism, and you have Zionism, okay? So, if one particular ethnic group cleaves to one particular ism, does that mean any criticism of that ism is racism? It's crazy. Let's say all the Jews were Democrats, and you don't like the Democratic Party, and then they say, oh, you're an anti-Semite, that's why. None of that makes sense, but this is what they're trying to push down the gullet of a gullible public. But it's not working anymore. No, it's not. No, people are waking up to this. And let me see, I've got a couple of other things here. There's so many clips I wanted to get to. This whole thing about manipulating the algorithms. As a matter of fact, what's his name? Not Ted Cruz. Oh, Matt Gaetz. There we go. Matt Gaetz. He went after Israel big time, and you've got to stop and think about it. What happened with Charlie Kirk? And by the way, there's some updates on that. That whole thing is exploding. But I'll get to that, to the Charlie Kirk thing in a minute here. But as far as Matt Gaetz is concerned, he's awake now. It's not just, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's not just, Candace Owens, and it's not just Dave Smith or Tucker Carlson or any of the other media influencers, they're all waking up. So Israel, what are you going to do? If Israel took out Charlie Kirk, and that is becoming more and more a possibility, if not a likelihood, if not a certainty, with all the information that's coming out. If that didn't happen, well, I'll tell you what. Let's just listen to Matt Gaetz here. And this was on last night, or was it the night before? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he's going after them too. So what are you going to do, Israel? You going to go after Matt Gaetz too? Here we go.
Charlie Kirk openly questioned the story Israel was trying to tell the world about October 7th.
I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand-down order? Was there a stand-down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier. Right? The whole country is surveilled.
There's also another country that asked Qatar to support Hamas. It was Israel. In 2018, Netanyahu himself sent a secret letter to the Qatari leadership. In that letter, he urged Qatar to deliver $30 million a month to Gaza. He said this funding would help reduce the motivation of terror groups to carry out attacks, prevent a humanitarian crisis, and preserve regional stability.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there because... and I reported this, 2 years ago, that in 2019, Bibi Netanyahu is quoted as saying, in order to secure a Palestinian state, and that means take it over, in order to secure a Palestinian state, we must support Hamas, we must fund Hamas. He said that 6 years ago. And now when you follow the money trail, all of a sudden you find out that is exactly what's been happening. Anyway, he continues. Here we go.
So in May of 2025, Netanyahu publicly admitted that since 2018, his government had allowed Qatar to transfer money to Hamas.
There you go. Right there. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so.
In Gaza, and that was according to his own request. That policy was approved by the full Israeli security cabinet. So if you believe Netanyahu himself, he went from asking Qatar to send money to Hamas to bombing Qatar for not extraditing Hamas.
He doesn't think this serves Israel's interests or the United States' interests.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Qatar just gifted the United States a $400 million jet. Israel sending bombs in return is one heck of a thank you note. On Capitol Hill, Florida Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz is deeply concerned about foreign governments running influence campaigns online in the United States.
It is totally rampant, allowing foreign governments to just perpetrate these platforms, all of these bots, all of the time to weaponize Americans. You see what's going on here? This is a byproduct of all of that. What's going on in the streets is a byproduct of all of that.
Well, that just sounds awful. We wanted to learn more about these foreign governments that Representative Moskowitz was talking about and their paid influence operations. And lo and behold, a foreign country has just signed a $45 million deal with Google to spread propaganda.
Okay, so Israel basically, with that move, took over Google. How does that work in the interests of the American people?
It's Israel. If you don't care at all about Israel or Qatar, you should at least care about U.S. military equipment being used in the most stupid of ways. Israel has the F-35. Qatar has U.S. Patriot missile batteries. Is American hegemony in 2025 really watching our own air defenses shooting down U.S.-funded bombs launched from U.S.-made planes? This reminds me of Syria, when forces funded by the Pentagon were fighting forces funded by the CIA.
Okay, I'm going to pause it again. Who benefits from that? The military-industrial complex. They're selling weapons to both sides and then blowing the weapons up and then selling more. Shik-shing, shik-shing, shik-shing. It's a win-win-win for the military-industrial complex. You think they care about human life? Dream on.
This week, U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson held a meeting with AIPAC and Jewish leaders on Capitol Hill. Several reports out of that meeting suggest Speaker Johnson committed to screen potential congressional candidates to ensure they are aligned with the current policies of the Israeli government. I asked Speaker Johnson about this, and he offered this response on record exclusively to our program. When asked if he was going to screen candidates in this way, he wrote back, "No. Shocking that I would be misquoted. The discussion was about general support for Israel, which has obviously been declining. Christians are called to support the people and nation of Israel, but not necessarily its politics." Speaker Johnson didn't fall into this trap.
Those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. We heard that before. That was Ted Cruz. Okay, I'm going to let this carry on, and then we'll see what the Bible actually says. Okay?
Those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel.
No, it doesn't.
So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Okay, let's stop it right there. He said it's in the Bible. Okay, well, guess what? I got a Bible right here. Okay? And you know what it says? In Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, I read, "And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." There was no mention of Israel. As a matter of fact, the name Israel didn't even come up yet. Not until several chapters later when God was talking to Jacob. So who was he talking to? He was talking to Abraham. God said to Abraham, "And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee." So I'm sorry, Ted, you're just taking quotes out of the Bible that are convenient and misquoting them.
Where's that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my...
Well, I do. It's right here. I just shared it.
You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. Is the nation God is referring to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is.
No, it's not.
I guess we can say this about Mike Johnson. He's probably got a higher IQ than Ted Cruz. Qatar is an ally. I know that because we have a U.S. military base there. Since Vietnam, no country that has willingly invited U.S. military bases has been bombed by U.S.-funded weapons. We see increasing evidence that Netanyahu wants forever wars in the Middle East. That's not good for Israel. That's not good for the United States. It's just good for Netanyahu. And his goals sound really awful.
But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard-right government has a mandate. I got to be careful the way I say this. They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Yep. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay?
Okay, that's, famous words from Charlie Kirk. No wonder they had to take him out. And I got to tell you, I'm putting it out there to all the Jewish folks in this country. You know, I know that you're facing anti-Semitism and you're facing all kinds of blowback from this genocide that Bibi Netanyahu has been perpetrating against the Palestinians. Now, I'm not here to support Islam and all that. I am to support humanity, all right? Now, some people are saying, oh, yes, but the Muslims are a real threat to America. Yeah, maybe 10, 20 years down the road after they popped out a couple 100,000 or 1 million babies. Yeah, but the immediate threat, the threat that's going on right now, is from Israel and from the Talmudic madmen who have taken over and hijacked the Judaism in general. So I put it out there to all of the Jews out there. If you don't want to face the anti-Semitism, you have to stand up against Bibi Netanyahu and the regime that has taken over Israel. It's as simple as that. And yet that means you have to get informed. That means you have to accept the fact that maybe you were sold a bill of goods. And that's the big obstacle, because people have to get over their pride and their ego to accept that they were lied to. But then again, like I've mentioned so many times before, Mark Twain said it's always easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they've been fooled. Anyway, let's see. Who else is here? Let me see. Speaking of Ted Cruz, I got to play this clip again. I played this yesterday. This is definitely one of the WTFs of the week. Listen to this.
How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles?
What? That's a keeper. That is a keeper. Oh, man, Ted, I don't know what you were thinking. I really don't. But as I was saying, anybody who's going after Bibi Netanyahu and the rogue regime that has wrapped itself in the star of Remphan, the star of Moloch, the star of Lucifer, the star of David. Oh, but David didn't have a star. So it can't be the star of David. It's got to be the star of one of the other entities that I just mentioned. So yes, Judaism has been hijacked by imposters. And that was mentioned several times. Revelation 2:9, Revelation 3:9, John 8:44. Jesus tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen. But anyway, just trying to put the puzzle pieces together here. And if you haven't seen it yet, folks, you really need to see the documentary film that was released about a month and a half, 2 months ago. It's called The Greatest Show on Earth, Part 3, Saving Israel for Last. Not that we hate Israelis. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of Israelis that are great people, that are, genuinely fine human beings. There is a large portion that are not so much, that actually believe what they've been taught for their entire lives, that Palestinians are not human beings. They're dogs. They are subhuman. They are goy. Okay? They are Amalek. I almost forgot about that one. And that's why they think that they don't have to pay any attention to the Human Rights Commission, because in their minds, they're not dealing with humans. That's what they think. But anyway, back onto this thing about Charlie and what he was exposing, and the fact that he had come to the conclusion that his support for Israel was misguided. Yes, he was very supportive of Israel. Since he started TPUSA, it was a big supporter of Israel, which is why he had all the Jewish donors and he had all of the support from Israel. But after October 7th, which is the 2-year anniversary, is only a few days away, he started looking and saying, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We all have the right to be able to look at something and go, that doesn't make sense. Wait a minute. Maybe I was wrong about something. And I think that Charlie had one of those or two of those or maybe a half a dozen of those revelations. And he was expressing that in his recent programs. Anyway, so the point is that, Charlie's voice was very loud. He was being listened to all over the world. A very, very formidable force that was becoming a threat to the interests of the Zionist regime, the madmen who are running the show over there in Israel. So naturally, you got to ask the question, que bono, who benefits from taking Charlie out? Who was threatened by Charlie's voice? Certainly not the conservatives, and certainly not the liberals. They couldn't debate themselves out of a paper bag. So who was threatened? It's a no-brainer answer. And so now you've got people out there, Megyn Kelly, Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Candace is shaking it up. Oh my gosh. The latest from Candace is she's been contacted from some people in TPUSA that were in alignment with Charlie Kirk. They saw what was going on. However, there are some board members who may have been on the payroll here. There's possibly some very serious skullduggery and betrayal from within the TPUSA. And I find it really interesting, and I mentioned it on yesterday's show, TPUSA had cameras all over the place. 4G, what was it, 4G, whatever it is, high definition cameras, and they have footage of Charlie's assassination, and I'm sure they had cameras out in the audience. None of that video footage has been released. None of the video footage from the surveillance cameras at the university has been released, with the exception of that one shot that they've been showing everybody of the kid, running across the roof. Anyway, here's Candace Owens, sharing some of the stuff that she learned. And I'll tell you, bless her heart, she is taking a lot of heat. There are people attacking her all over the place. She's getting death threats. She's being doxxed and stalked. Her family's being threatened. But she's still on it. I'm with you, Candace. If anybody can tag Candace with this broadcast, please tell her I say kudos. Anyway, here's Candace Owens.
And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay. I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth. That's it. Okay. You don't hide it. You don't try to obfuscate it. You don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered him. You tell the truth and you tell it immediately. And I don't think they're capable of doing that. And I have an idea as to why that is. I think the same people that were pressuring Charlie are pressuring them. In fact, I know that for a fact. So they might need my help. Okay. I'm going to state this, and I'm going to challenge Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay. Charlie was done. He said it explicitly that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion could happen? It's a yes or a no. Okay, let's stop this ditching. Let's stop the dodging. Let's explicitly, I want to hear from Turning Point USA that I'm lying about that. I want you to say, no, it was just, he was feeling a little bit of pressure. No, I want you to literally answer what I have just said. It either happened or it didn't. I'm either making it all up or it happened exactly as I'm saying. And while we're at it, may I ask, what is the name of the Jewish donor who sponsored the Hamptons weekend? Okay. And to Pastor Rob McCoy, were there any LLCs that you or your son were being paid through that sat outside of Turning Point? I'm asking that question genuinely. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving, okay? There is no way you are letting these lies fly unless, as I am hearing, unless it is true that there was a big payday that was on the line. And if Charlie radically stated that he was done with Israel, if Charlie said he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause because of, and I quote, Jewish donors, the behavior of Jewish donors, if he said that, yes or no, well then, I don't know, maybe some people didn't want to take that risk that he was going to become Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson at Turning Point USA with all of those presences, so much presence across college campuses. Maybe they didn't want to take the chance. You see, I'm just one person, so it's easy to just try to cancel my life and lie on me every second of every day. But Turning Point USA, I think, got a little bit bigger than Charlie, and I'm no longer going to allow this lie in this narrative. So answer the questions, yes or no. And I'm going to, again, challenge you to lie. And if you do lie, I'm going to expose the lies, and I'm going to start dropping videos, actually. So that's where I'm at. Enough of the games, enough with trying to allow Israel to wrangle a narrative that you know is not true. Charlie did not die pro-Israel. He did not die for Israel. He did not martyr himself as a friend of Israel. In fact, the friends of Israel were pressuring him really badly, and he was done, and he finally stood up for himself. And I'm proud of that. And I will say this, you know what? Somewhere, Charlie is watching, okay? And I hope he knows that we are reunited, okay? We're on stage right now, and the Jewish donors are very angry about it, extremely angry about it. But it feels good to know that in the end, truth is going to win, so.
Yeah, truth is going to win. And this is why I've been saying for quite some time, yes, here I am broadcasting on Red State Talk Radio Network. Okay, it's to be safely assumed that most of the listeners to this broadcast are conservative. And we all know that the liberal media, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all blah, blah, blah. We know that they're all slanted and they're all, propagandized. But don't kid yourself. The conservative networks are just as propagandized, and I'm pointing my finger directly at Real America's Voice, which was carrying Charlie's show, because they are very silent about this whole thing. I don't see a whole lot of exposés going on that network. Nobody's asking the right questions. Everybody is just towing the line. Yes, there are a couple of questions about the FBI official narrative, but I mean, the official narrative it's not collapsing. It has collapsed. As a matter of fact, Ryan Mata, again, another influencer, another deep researcher, God bless his soul, I tell you, between him and, Ian Carroll, they're uncovering so much stuff. And the latest that they found is that apparently there was a woman who was working at a strip mall that wasn't too far from the university. It was about maybe 5 or 6 minutes away. Apparently, the FBI had pinged, I guess it was a tracking device or something on Tyler Robinson's car. They pinged his car at this little strip mall, and they caught his car on the closed-circuit television system. So the FBI showed up, and they said, yeah, that's his car. Okay, fine. Anyway, they released the video, and you stop and think about it. Wait a second. What the hell is his car doing in this parking lot? It pulls in about 21 minutes after Charlie was shot. Now, you put the timeline together and say that means that this guy, this Tyler Robinson, if he was the bad guy, if he was the shooter, if he was the assassin, we are told that we should believe that right after the shot, he disassembled the rifle. He changed his clothes. He ran across the roof. He jumped down. He ran off, and then he got into the woods, and he reassembled the rifle. He put it in a box, wrapped it in a towel, and changed his clothes again. And then got in a car and drove about 5 or 6 minutes away, and then stopped at this parking lot outside of a strip mall. Now, he pulls in there. It's like I said, 21, 22 minutes after Charlie was shot, and he just sits there for a couple minutes. That doesn't make sense. If you just assassinated somebody, you'd be showing nothing but butts and feet going the opposite direction. Get the hell out of town. But he didn't do that. And in fact, now he's coming and saying, I've never even been on the damn campus. Didn't happen. So, I mean, the whole official story is just so wrong. And again, I have to question Real America's Voice, TPUSA. Why aren't you saying anything about this? Why haven't you released the footage? Why is it that you're going right along with the official narrative, which we all know is bullcrap? Why is this going on? So this whole thing is exploding in their face. And meanwhile, what was it, the night before last, Jeffery Sachs was visiting with Tucker Carlson on his program. And if you didn't see that interview, oh my goodness, it was a barn burner. Here's a little excerpt, and here's Jeffery Sachs on the subject of Israel.
We've not yet seen an American president for 30 years that has resisted Israel. And I am still fearful that Trump is the same because, frankly, what we have right now, and Netanyahu said so, Israel's involved in 7 wars right now. It's disgusting. They're all over the Middle East in war. They're in war in Gaza. They're in war in the West Bank. They're in war in Lebanon. They're in war with Syria. They're in war with Iraq. They're in war with Iran. They're at war with Yemen. And so far, the United States has funded, armed, and diplomatically supported all of this. And the United States has absolutely not, and in this government, and it's true of the previous ones as well, not said a word about the state of Palestine, which is absolutely key to peace. There needs to be a state for the Palestinian people, alongside a state for the Israelis. This is international law. It's absolutely obvious to almost every country in the whole world. But the United States listens to Netanyahu. And by United States, I don't mean the people, because just as you said, the American people are against all of this, by the way.
Yes, they are. And then you have to ask the question, how is it that Israel is able to pull these strings? Maybe that has something to do with Jeffrey Epstein. What do you think? Hey, Dan Bongino, have you figured out yet that Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were Mossad? Have you figured that out yet? Have you? Unbelievable. Anyway, more and more people are standing up against Israel. As a matter of fact, there's the U.S. ambassador to Turkey. His name is Tom Barak. He had this to say.
I don't trust any of them. Our interests are not aligned. Ally is a mistaken word. Our interests are not aligned.
Including Israel?
Absolutely. It's not the United States of Israel. We're befriending, and we have befriended, Islam and the East. If you just look at the demographics, you're going to have, by 2040, 2045, 10 billion people in the world. You're going to have 5 billion Muslims. 5 billion. Mm-hmm. So are we going to keep pounding?
What is the blowback on the United States? We're talking about the Muslim population exploding over the next decades. What is the blowback from funding Israel's actions in Gaza? I mean, you would agree it's not going to be good.
Look, I think America is divided on that issue. And it will come to fruition. Either there'll be a solution that people say was worth it, or there'll be a solution that wasn't worth it. And people can vote with their feet the next time around.
Yeah, vote with their feet. Yeah, that's if your vote actually counts. Okay, well, that's a whole nother issue on the integrity of our voting systems here. But yours truly has said this months and months ago, that they're ginning up a holy war. They want a conflict between the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians. And if you look around what's happening, there's no doubt that that is being, perpetrated. Now, yes, I mentioned earlier in the program, and you just heard it from Mr. Barak, Tom Barak, that, yeah, there is a question about, Muslims, popping them out like bunny rabbits. And yes, 20 years down the road, yeah, there's going to be a whole lot more of them than there are of white Christians in this country. Because, let's face it, most people, they're questioning whether or not they even want to bring a child into this world because things are so screwed up. So they're not having kids. Now, I remind you that a replacement rate is 2.1. In other words, for every white couple that's out there, they have to have 2.1 children to be able to just sustain the white population that there is. Now, if you want to increase the population, instead of having 2.1, you got to have 3 or 4 kids. But the point is that the replacement rate among whites is 1.2, I think it is. So the whites are breeding themselves out of existence. And meanwhile, the Muslims are popping them out, like I said. So he's not wrong. So that may be a threat, 15, 20 years down the road. However, the immediate threat is what's going on with this Zionist regime. And as Jeffrey Sachs was pointing out, there's 7 different wars going on over there. And who's funding all those wars? Where's all that money go? Or shall I say, where's it all come from? The money that's going over there to Israel is insane. We remember several months ago, with Elon Musk and Doge and all that, and they cut all of the cuts from USAID. Okay, well, there was billions and billions and billions of dollars that got cut from USAID. But you know what didn't get cut from USAID? $14.9 billion for Israeli-related projects. Another $2.2 billion for Jewish-related projects. And then another $581 million for Tel Aviv University. $72.9 million went for Holocaust-linked projects, like the Holocaust museums and stuff like that. Another $11.2 million went to promote Zionism. And another $9.6 million for a Jewish chapel in West Point. Yeah, it's all, the money is control. So let me see. What else have I got here? I got a bunch of others. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a quick break. Got to pay the bills here.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get more tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and you'll take you down to the bottom there, and you can click on the Get More Tank box there, and that'll bring you to their website. You can read about all the specifications, all the details, why and how this catalyst works. And that's right, it's a fuel catalyst. It's not a fuel additive. Big difference. Your car or truck or vehicle or whatever will run smoother, it'll run cleaner, it'll have more power, and once your engine becomes acclimated to the use of this fuel catalyst, you'll start to see the improved mileage, anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending upon your make, mile, and year and how of your vehicle and your driving habits, of course. But the point is that for $20, once you use the promo code REDPILL101, for $20 you get 5 tablets. Now, once your car or vehicle is acclimated, you're going to see, 5 tablets, 1 tablet per tank. And if you're getting 20% better mileage, that means the 5th tank is free. This is a no-brainer, folks. You really should be using Get More Tank. So go to the website, TheWTFReports.com. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get more tank. And while we're at it, I wanted to share with you, I had the pleasure of listening to an interview with Linda Banber. Linda Banber was a guest with Brian Ardis. Now, Brian Ardis is a very, very well-known physician, and he's been standing up against the COVID pandemic since day one. And he's very well-known, very high profile. And guess what? He's been using a Wave Watch for a couple of years. And it's pretty amazing. Listen up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis, host of the Dr. Ardis Show, and this is an exciting special presentation about one of our amazing trusted partners that we have been collaborating with and using their devices and products, my wife and I both, for the last several years. So I'm very excited to have, once again, the inventor, the creator of the Wave Watch, of which I have both of them here. The new models and their new branding, color schemes. Look at these fancy little watches. They're amazing. And we use these and wear these every single day. And they emit sound frequencies that help to heal the body, of which it's been known for millennia that sound creates these frequencies and wavelengths of sound that enhance the function of cells in the human body. And every cell in the human body has a certain frequency it vibrates at. And when you put those sound frequencies into it, or expose the cells of your body to them, it enhances those cells. They're supposed to be vibrating at a specific frequency. And here to talk about the amazing health benefits and to show you a specific presentation. She's going to take you through her own Wave Watch presentation about all the health benefits of sound and the physical effects of sound.
It's all about frequency. That's what Tesla told us, folks. And this is a Rife machine you wear on your wrist. And that's why I'm a firm supporter of the Wave Watch. And again, if you haven't checked it out, go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and check out there's a pop-up there, and it'll take you to a page that has all the information about the Wave Watch and why you will benefit. Now, I'm not saying it's going to cure or treat. It's not about that, okay? But it is about wellness. And there are over 1,000 frequencies in there for all kinds of issues. And yes, it does help. So anyway, visit our website, the WTF Reports, and get yourself a Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. All right. I'll tell you, people all over the country are waking up. They're finding out exactly what's going on and why they can no longer stand behind Israel, and they're not anti-Semites for doing so. And there's an actress. Her name is Hannah Einbinder, and I don't know. I've never really seen anything that might. I might have seen a movie or something that she was in. I wouldn't have known. But she made a very powerful statement. Here she is.
Jewish person, and as an American, I am horrified by the Israeli government's massacre of well over 65,000 Palestinians in Gaza. I am ashamed and infuriated that this mass murder is funded by our American tax dollars. I know that my call for a liberated Palestine comes from a desire for mutual safety of all people living in the region, and I know that my condemnation of Israel's bombardment of Gaza is not despite what I learned in Hebrew school, but because of it. Israel's actions are not in the name of Jewish safety, and it is the very conflation of Israel's actions with the Jewish people that continues to endanger Jews around the world.
That's exactly right, and that's why Jews need to stand up against Bibi Netanyahu. You're not committing treason. You're not betraying your own faith. You're saving your own hide. Because unfortunately, most people don't know the difference between Judaism and Zionism, and they're counting on people's ignorance. So people have got to get informed. And again, I am going to promote Nick Alviar's new installment of The Greatest Show on Earth, Part 3. You got to see it. GoodLionFilms.tv. GoodLionFilms.tv. Watch that film, and you will get yourself quite an education as to who the Ashkenazis were, who the Khazarians are. Yeah, they've been around for a long time. We're talking millennia, folks. We're talking about a group of people who go all the way, they predate the Old Testament. They believe in Baal worship. Yeah, child sacrifice. That's what they believe. Doesn't make any difference what you believe. Doesn't make any difference what I believe. It's what they believe. And you can argue the point all you want. Just get yourself educated. Watch the film, The Greatest Show on Earth, Part 3. It traces the lineage, the whole history of how these fake Jews, that's all I can say, fake Jews. And again, that lines up with the Jerusalem Post posted an article last year. I think it was a year ago in April. I forget when it was, but let me see if I could pull it up here real quick here. It was published in May of 2024. Yeah, a little over a year ago. And the Johns Hopkins University did an ancestry study. 97.5% of Israelis do not have Semitic blood. They are not indigenous to the Middle East. Where do they come from? Well, what do you know? They come from Eastern Europe and Central Asia, directly where the Ashkenazi came from, where the Khazarian Empire was. And the Khazarian Empire was the group that decided that they were going to call themselves Jews, because they didn't want to get involved in the conflict between the Christians and the Muslims, so they decided to wrap themselves in the Star of David. Oh, I mean the Star of Moloch. I mean the Star of Remphan. I mean the Star of Lucifer, and masquerade as Jews. Anyway, and that coincides with how many folks here in the United States and around the world have that Star of David, I mean the Star of Moloch, I mean the Star of Remphan, I mean the Star of Lucifer, in front of their names. And they've infiltrated so many different organizations and businesses. Look at all of the media, CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN. How many of them are linked to that particular group of people? They're not Jews, folks. They're not. They call themselves Jews, but they are imposters. We have been invaded. I know, Dave, that you're just an anti-Semite. Oh, please. Yeah, that's so tired. That is so ridiculous. Anyway, And the leftists, I gotta play this this little clip here. Leftists, yeah, you want to find out what the left is like? Here you go.
Okay, I don't want to hear a freaking word from leftists who have suddenly discovered the Constitution for the first time in their entire lives and now think that they are champions for free speech. You wanted people fired because they didn't use your made-up pronouns. You wanted parents stripped of their custody rights because they refused to affirm their kids' gender delusion. You wanted American Eagle canceled because they put a white girl in their ads. You've gone after comedians for making jokes. You went after J.K. Rowling for saying that women deserve their own spaces. And it was a leftist who just shot a man in the throat for saying things that you didn't like.
Well,
and now all of a sudden, you're outraged that people are losing their jobs because they were publicly cheering the brutal and bloody murder of an innocent man. And it turns out a lot of companies and schools don't want to be affiliated with people that crazy and inhuman. And look, you have the right to be as vile as you want on the internet. Cheer, laugh, expose your demonic, hateful self all you want, but you do not have the right to force your employer to continue employing you after they find out that you are a rabid lunatic and decide that you probably shouldn't be driving an ambulance or teaching second graders. It's called a code of conduct, and if yours was at all decent, maybe you wouldn't be in this pickle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the truth. That really is the truth. Yeah, the crazy ones have really exposed themselves. They certainly have. But let me see. I had one more clip in here. Where is it? Okay, no, I got that one. Oh, okay. Yeah. Where is it? I got so many audio clips here. I got to go through and sort these out. Do a better job. Oh my. Well, we're coming towards the end of the show anyway. I hope that you're all doing okay, because I know it's exhausting. Because I'd like to be able to step away from all this sometimes, because it weighs on your psyche. Every single day we hear about more and more gloom and doom stuff, but you just can't get away from it. And that's why I was saying earlier, a lot of people, they don't want to have kids in this world right now. And I don't blame him. I'd hate to be a young couple right now trying to make that decision. Do we want to have some kids? With the way the economy is, my God, both parents got to work full time, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs just to pay the bills. So bringing a child into the world, I don't know. Things have got to change. That's all I know. And unfortunately, you can't rely on the media to tell you the truth about anything, because they lie. And yours truly, I've been screaming about this for 30 years now? Yeah, right.
They lied.
They lied.
They lied about the virus.
Yeah.
About the death toll.
Yeah.
About the treatments.
Yeah.
About the vaccines.
They did.
About the masks.
Absolutely.
About the testing.
Yep.
About the passports.
Yeah.
About everything.
Uh-huh.
They lied.
Yep.
While censoring the truth. While gaslighting the injured.
They did.
While politicians partied and the media clapped along. No one has been held to account. No one has apologized. No one has even admitted what they did was wrong. And yet we're expected to move on, to forget, to pretend it was all well-intentioned. But for some of us, the damage is permanent. Our faith in public health, government, science, media, gone. So no, we're not moving on, we're not forgetting, and we're sure as hell not staying silent.
That's right. We're not going to stay silent. I'm not going to stay silent. I did that for a while after my head exploded back in, 2009? And I came to realize how big the monster was. And I just, I said, man, and I was getting, backstabbed, and I was going through all the stuff that, some of the media influencers are going through. But that's why I just said, no, not going to do it anymore. But then I got called back into service again. So I'm back. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the Friday edition of the WTF Reports. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. If you are and you're listening on Rumble or BitChute or YouTube or Facebook, please click like, share, and subscribe. And even more importantly, word of mouth. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. Hey, there's this radio show out there that's actually fun to listen to, informative, and the guy actually knows about a lot of what he's talking about. Anyway, that said, I thank you for your listenership. I hope you have a very safe weekend. So, God bless you. Stay safe. Stay free. And I'll see you on Monday.